Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. My name is Tomoka Rosas and I'm a practitioner at this beautiful center with beautiful people. Thank you all for joining us today. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. Before we get started, I have a few announcements. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and I'll be sending out emails also with a prayer, blessing prayer on Wednesdays. So if you're not on our email, please let me know. Today is our Thanksgiving celebration and commitment luncheon right after service, so please join us. All is welcome, so please join us. Lots of food. Our fall program, 40 Days of Thankful Living, a spiritual journey in cultivating a grateful heart, is ongoing until Thanksgiving. But it doesn't mean that you stop giving thanks. You could continue all year long if you like. But for our program, it's going to end on Thanksgiving. Personal declaration booklet for 2023 and commitment cards are available now. And please ask the ushers if you don't have one yet. We are continuing to collect food and toys for the Pathways of Hope Food Pantry until Sunday, December 18th. So if you like to bring food, canned food, or unwrapped toys, please bring it in by that day so we could deliver before Christmas. Our Wednesday guided meditation this week is going to be dark in observation for Thanksgiving. Mark your calendar. Our family candlelight service this year will be on Wednesday, the 14th of December. This is a beautiful service, so please join us. And that's going to be at 7 p.m. and light dinner will be served at 6:30 p.m. So please join us. All welcome. This is a great service to share with your friends and family. Sign-up sheets for Spiritual Economics class starting in January is at the welcome table. Please sign up if you like to take the class so that we could prepare the material for you by then. And I think that's it for me. And thank you for listening.
I need to be still, let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Time for invocation. Join with me, please. As I give thanks, first of all, to God, to Spirit, to the one power, the one presence, for being here. Because it seems obvious to me that if it's not here, we're not here. I give thanks for all the teachers in the youth church. And I give thanks to all the children that show up in the church also. I give thanks to Susie Rogers for every Sunday dealing with the food and the fellowship. Every single week she is here. I also give thanks to Susie for being board president and for the board of trustees for all the work that they so diligently do. I give thanks to Tomoka for everything that she does. I give thanks to Tommy for his beautiful music, his inspiring singing. I give thanks to my fellow practitioners for all their prayer work. And they do good work because I am a recipient. I give thanks to Reverend Dr. Bill for inspiring us each and every Sunday. And I'm sure and certain that this morning is no different. I give thanks to each and every one of you for being here. And for those who watch online, I give thanks also. And so it is. So my inspired reading is from 365 Days of Richer Living, June 15. And the title of it is, Divine Ideas Come to Me at Every Moment. The soul's communication of truth is the highest event in nature, since it then does not give somewhat from itself, but it gives itself and becomes that man whom it enlightens. This is from Emerson. I accept the responsibility of being alive in God's great universe. Truth seeks to give itself to me, and I open my mind to it. I let down all the bars. I unlock all the gates of human wrong thinking. I expect to have my consciousness flooded with inspiration as the infinite mind uses me as its channel for expression. I allow the divine to enter and absorb me. I become the divine incarnate. That is what Jesus knew, and now I know it. He sensed his responsibility to so think, act, and be, that God would find no closed door in his mind. I shall do likewise. I am the living expression of all that God is. I am not a body using a mind. I am spirit in complete authority over my world. I am a receiver of divine inspiration and a communicator of divine love. The potential of a perfect life is given to me to use, and I develop it in fullness. I am not hindered by myself, for no longer do I claim material infallibility. I know that my senses may deceive me and my world may wrongfully influence me, and only my own thinking determines my experience. I give myself to the truth, and the truth sets me free from all previous wrong conclusions. The one mind is the source of my life. Ideas are the beginning and the end of demonstration. I see myself as a mental being in a universe of mind action. I declare the truth, and the truth becomes my experience. I receive and affirm God's ideas, and they bless and prosper me. My health is perfect because his mind is perfect. My affairs are in order because order is the way God works. Prosperity cannot pass by me, for his ideas and action through my guarantee. Prosperity cannot pass me, for his ideas and action through me guarantee my abundance. Every instant of this day is potent with God, and his unfailing, inspiring inspiration is mine, and I accept it. And then from September 26th, I'll just read the affirmation. Today I uncover the perfection in me. It is the fullness I reveal the indwelling kingdom. I look out upon the world of my affairs, knowing that the spirit within me makes my way both immediate and easy. I know that there is nothing in me that could obstruct or withhold the divine circuit of life and love, which good is. My word dissolves every negative thought or impulse that could throw a shadow over my perfection. Good flows through me to all. Good shines through my thought and actions. Good harmonizes my mind so that love sings joyously in my heart, and I am in complete unity with good. And so it is.
We are one. We are one. We are all one in God. We are one. We are one. We are all one in God. Beauty surrounds me, falling at my feet. I hear the calling, Spirit within me. We are love, we are love. We're all the love of God. We are love, we are love. We are all the love of God. Beauty surrounds me, falling at my feet. And I hear the calling of Spirit within me. We are one. We are one. We're all one in God. We are love. We are love. We are all the love of God. All the love of God. We are one.
Wow, Tommy Cosentino, come on. What a beautiful song that was. Thank you so much. So we're in November, of course, one of my favorite times of the year. And we're still going under that umbrella of the Grateful Heart. So today's talk title is The Attitude of Gratitude, Platitude. I think I'll begin with talking a little bit about what that word platitude means to me. Because I think we generally ascribe that word to little pithy sayings that came from an entire ocean of a concept that would take hours and hours to tell all of, the depth of it being so magnificent and so huge. And yet, sometimes we just blurt out, we have to have an attitude of gratitude. And that's not a platitude if it's coming from that depth of feeling and emotion and meaning and gratitude that's within our hearts, within our souls, within our bodies. It only becomes a platitude when we flippantly say in response to some sort of thing or other, well, you got to have an attitude of gratitude. Well, thank you very much. No, I don't. I don't have to have an attitude of gratitude because somebody tells me to. I have an attitude of gratitude, and it's not a platitude. I have an attitude of gratitude that is embodied within me. It's my worldview. It's my lifestyle. That's an attitude of gratitude. I like that saying, that little phrase, but sometimes I even tend to get a little bit hung up on that word attitude. What are attitudes? They're ephemeral wisps of emotion and feeling that come into us and pass oftentimes as often as they can. Attitudes change constantly. You know, when we're up at our place on the north coast of Oregon, the saying up there is, if you don't like the weather, Wait 15 minutes, it's going to change. And that's like our attitudes. Who among us has not at some time felt really great, and then something happened and they allowed that to drag them down and make them feel really lousy, and that maintained until they finally came to their senses and said, hey, wait a minute, this isn't me. I'm thankful for what I have. I'm thankful for everything. And then we change back up into that higher realm, into that higher vibration. So when I say attitude, gratitude, platitude, what I'm trying to say is let's don't have that. Let's don't have it as a platitude. Let's have it as that fully orbed, sensational, magnificent feeling that just swells our hearts and our souls and allows us to live in that atmosphere. Because if we have an atmosphere of gratitude rather than an attitude of it, the atmosphere is always there. The attitude might come and go. You ever known anybody with an attitude? I know. You ever had kids? If you've had kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, I got the memo, I guess, because I had no, we don't talk before services. I had no idea that Aidan was going to the 365 Science of Mind. So am I. Maybe I'll just reread the same one to make sure you got it. Or not. So Ernest Holmes says, the attitudes of praise and thanksgiving are salutary. Salutary. Just means that they're helpful, they're healthful, they're beneficial. So having that feeling can only bring good. Gratitude is a positive, not a negative. You know, there are those in the scientific world and in the realism circle that say that we're hardwired with a negativity bias. And if you think about that, there's probably something in that. Because until we learn to adopt and embody completely this feeling, attitude of gratitude, don't we sometimes, without even thinking, just default to the negative? Something happens, oh my God, what am I gonna? No, it's not, oh my God, what am I gonna? It's, wow, that happened. Another platitude is one of my favorites, it is what it is. Well, that's also rather tautological, I suppose, because it is what it is. But it doesn't have to be a platitude, because the fact remains that what happened, what just happened, did happen. You know, we don't go back in the Paul Lind manner of saying, erase, erase. When something happens, it happens. We then have a choice. We can be grateful in that experience. I don't like people telling me to be grateful for that experience, because you know what? I fell once as a kid and I broke my wrist. I promise you I was not grateful for that. So when you have something like that happen to you, you can't be grateful for it. The idea is to be grateful in it. It happened. There are certain things that are going to flow logically from that, and they're going to happen too. We have the choice. We have volition. We can choose to let that drag us down and put us in that via negativity mode, put us in that negativity bias, if you will, or not. And if we were, as human creatures, at some point hardwired with a negativity bias, wouldn't that have been because we needed to be ever so careful of everything that happened? We had to be looking around all the time and worried about everything. We don't live like that anymore. We don't have to go out and hunt and gather for our food on a daily basis. We don't have to be aware or wary of strange animals coming out of the rose bush to give us grief. So if we were at one time hardwired with that, it still shouldn't be within us. And if it is, we can rewire ourselves. I saw a study once that said if you were to spend just 30 seconds a day, time, 6 times a day, space them out as you wish, 30 seconds, just going within and being grateful for what you have, not for something that just happened, being grateful for all that we have. We live in an abundant, prosperous, endless, infinite universe of joy and happiness and good. If we can't just take 30 seconds to be grateful for that, we're not ever going to take any time to be grateful for anything. But this study said, and this was a scientific study, studies usually range from like 30 people to 3,000 people, certainly not all of us, but it does give you a good indication, surprisingly, even from a small sample, that those people who did that, the majority of them, a very high percentage of them, literally rewired their brain. You know, they hook them up to these little electrodes and they put the imaging on there. And literally, they could see the synapses, they could see the lines, they could see those patterns forming in the brain. And 30 seconds, 6 times a day is 3 minutes. My God, I can't even count the number of 3 minutes a day that I just lose track of doing nothing. And especially when they're broken down into 30-second segments. We ought to be able to do that. Oh, where was I? Oh. So these attitudes of praise and thanksgiving, they're salutary, but they not only lighten the consciousness, lifting it out of sadness and depression, they elevate consciousness to a point of acceptance. Which brings to mind the term closed mind. You ever know anybody with a closed mind? God forbid we ever had a closed mind ourselves about something. What can get in through that closed mind? What can get in through that door? Not much. We've sealed them pretty tight when that happens. So what we want to do is awaken and open that up. We have to accept what the good that's coming. Praise and thanksgiving are really attitudes of recognition. Well, what are we recognizing? Gratitude is the recognition of the divine presence that Aidan was talking about earlier. It is all around us. There's only one presence. There's only one power. We are some part of it. We get to use it. You know, somewhere along the line, some New Thought guru said, I think it was Ernest Holmes, said, you know, electricity was around at the time of Moses. When Moses went out into the desert, electricity was around. They just didn't know it and they didn't know how to use it and they had no concept of it. We could say the same thing about everything that's ever going to come into being. So with gratitude, we open our hearts so that we can accept and recognize things that we never would have dreamed of. Any old people in here who went to Disneyland when you were younger? Remember the House of Tomorrow? Or the House of the Future, whatever they called it? That House of the Future today is old school. It's obsolete. Everything that's in it, we've gone light years beyond. But it was all available at the time, and everything we have today was available at the time. We just didn't have the wherewithal to access it. It's only when we live affirmatively that we are happy. And I want to tell you, we cannot live affirmatively without gratitude. Cannot do it. We cannot live affirmatively. We cannot live positively. We cannot live in our highest and best self without gratitude. So what's to be grateful for? How about everything? We need to learn to operate from a place of abundance, from a place of love and acceptance. Wow, sorry. And when we do that, when we come from that place of abundance, remember last week we talked a little bit about if we're asking for something, we're simply signaling to the universe that there's a scarcity of that something in our life. Or we wouldn't be asking for it. But when we know that it is our due, whatever that is, whatever we're aspiring to, if we just know that that is our due, and then we demand of the universe that it coughs it up, we're not signaling scarcity at all. We're signaling that abundance and that prosperity and our right to it. And as long as we know our place, as long as we know that we are made of that divine energy, of that divine substance, empowered and driven by it, when we direct it for our own use or use of somebody else, we're going to have what we want. Remember Einstein? It's just frequency. You match that vibration, you can't help but get whatever it is you're looking for that's on that same frequency. The Art of Life, Ernest Holmes says, it's not the intellect alone with which we deal. So that's why you can't say to me, Bill, you need to have an attitude of gratitude. I know that. Have you ever done something knowing you should not be doing it or knowing there was something better to do? I know I should have that attitude of gratitude. But just knowing it intellectually isn't going to get me there. There's a deep feeling center within us. This deep feeling center must be aroused. No matter what the intellect affirms, unless this deep feeling center accepts its statements, we shall not get very far. So I can know it and know it and know it and know it. I think I mentioned a couple of years ago, when I was in the military, I was stationed with this guy, dirt poor guy, out of, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi. And he said to me once, well, way more than once, but the first time I heard it, he had said it once, that time. And he says, what you know can't help you. What you use is what gets you by, or gets you through, or something to those effects. So I can know it, and I can know it, and I can know it, but until I can put it in me and live from it, it's not doing me any good. Remember, we can say, I love affirmations. And affirmations are great when we're in a spot that we can't just grab that bull by the horns. When we need some help, and those affirmations, what do? When we just say them over and again and again and again, pretty soon they start getting back into rewiring us in our mind. But it's not the mind that does it. It's when we rewire that center, that deep center, that spark of divinity, that divine essence that is within us, that's when things start happening for us. Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes. Wonder why we always manage to end up talking about this guy. He says, consider any of nature's forces. They must have existed always, but so far as man is concerned, They exist to be used only after he has discovered them. That's kind of like that electrical thing. Gratitude is the same way. We learn gratitude, do we not? I think we actually have a feeling of gratitude, and then somebody explains to us what that feeling was when we're little kids. Wow, I don't know what this feeling is, Mom, but, yeah, you're thankful, aren't you? You're really happy about something. You're glad you got to do that. Well, yeah, come to think of it, that's, all they had to do was explain it to me that that's what I was feeling. There was a old 16th or 17th century writer, Francois de la Rochefoucauld. And he said that in mankind, most gratitude is a secret hope that we can get more of something. It's a secret hope. So if I'm just saying thank you without meaning thank you, if I'm just saying it intellectually and not saying it in a heartfelt manner, it's not going to be received well. Where was I? Oh yeah, Ernest in The Science of Mind says, how we love to do for those who cooperate with and are grateful for our small endeavors. Gratitude is one of the chief graces of human existence and is crowned in heaven with a consciousness of unity. Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it held a great deal of gratitude. So, I don't know, A.A. Milne might have been talking about the fact that a little piglet had just a little tiny, physically a little tiny heart. But when things aren't going our way, when those things in life that happen to us shrink that capacity for love and community and joy and brightness and happiness within our hearts, isn't that the same thing? Didn't our heart just shrink? Didn't it just become smaller? Maybe it became rather akin to the size of Piglet's little heart. But Piglet knew that his little heart could hold a great deal of gratitude, and so can ours, even in the worst of times. And there are going to be worst of times, are there not? Because if you got this far, and I'm going down to like a 4-year-old, if you've got this far, you've had things that happened to you that just, you know, seem devastating. Were devastating. But when we expand that space of gratitude in our heart, and we expand it to take up the whole heart where it once was, where its rightful place is, which is its duty, its purpose to be filled with, when we expand it back up to that, we can handle anything. We all want to be happy. And remember, we can't be happy without gratitude. Thornton Wilder, great American playwright, novelist, said, we can only be said to be alive in those moments when our hearts are conscious of our treasures. We can only be truly alive when we're conscious of what we got and grateful for it. Remember we talked, I think last week, about you can be really, really, really rich and not have much money. I mean, not have any happiness. Or you can be really, really, really poor and have lots of happiness. That's kind of what we're talking about here. And you're thinking of that, thinking of people who have like more money than God. That great American philosopher, Willie Nelson, said once, he says, when I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around. And you know, you don't have to be a country music star to know the name Willie Nelson and to know that he was such a successful musician that they would show up and sell out places all the time, huge venues. But he could never get it together. He never had two coins to rub together. Until he started, because they came at it, that whole group of those singers at that time, with this attitude that, well, let's do this because nothing else works for us. It was kind of a rebellion sort of thing, you know? Well, let's take our music out. And when they did that and they started writing songs about the life they were living, and then realizing that those lives they were living were worth living, all at once, everything just changed for him. So now he's not only successful and wealthy and a huge name in the music industry, but he's also one that's so grateful for it. He just keeps producing more stuff out of gratitude, not out of commercialism anymore, not out of rebellion, but out of gratitude for all that he has. And once we do this, the whole world opens up to us. You know, the master teacher Jesus said something to the effect of, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. He didn't mean knocking with that closed fist knuckles. He meant knocking. The knocking is from the beating of the heart. If we're going to pound on a door to get into something, brute strength and ignorance isn't going to take us there. What we need is the soft approach. Enter in with gratitude in advance for what we are about to receive, and then extend that gratitude way past the actual moment of, getting what we want. The Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam, because it's not just our writing, it's not just our philosophy, it's not just science of mind teaching, it's not just in Christianity, the Bible, it's every major tradition has a bedrock of gratitude as one of its axioms, as one of its columns, as one of its upholding structures. But he said, Muhammad, that having gratitude is insurance against having everything that you want to have. It's ensuring that you get more. And remember, here's how the universe works. If we're thinking negative thoughts, if we are ungrateful, or not only ungrateful, we're just not grateful for what we have, we're not going to get more of it. You ever do something for somebody and they didn't thank you for it? It happens all the time. And that's not a big deal, because we're quick to accept that that's the way life is sometimes. But if you do something else for them again after that, and they don't thank you, that's okay. But are you going to do something for them a third time? Probably unlikely. We're little microcosms. We're little microcosms. We're only reflecting that which the macrocosm, this thing we call a life principle, is doing. If we can't be grateful and thankful for the little things, why in the world would the universe trust us with bigger things? I could just see, if that life principle had, the shape of a person, that principle would be kind of shaking its head going, dude, do you not appreciate anything? I don't think I'll give you any more. You're not appreciating this, I don't think I'll give you any more. And I don't think I'll give us any more this morning either. So, just a quick reminder that even Sir Isaac Newton, scientists are not all evil people, okay? But remember, he had this thing, the law of motion. And one of its axioms is that everything that happens gets met with an opposite and equal reaction. Giving gratitude. If we have gratitude, we're going to be given more. If we don't have gratitude, we're probably going to be given less. So let's just know together that in this one power and one presence within which we all live and move and have our being, and that our hearts beat within those hearts full of gratitude for every little thing as well as every large thing that comes to us in a term of a lifetime. Let's just know that when we are open and receptive to this, when we recognize the concept that it's gratitude that brings more good into our lives, more gratitude, more good, more gratitude, more good, then we know how to access this abundant, prosperous universe that is just awaiting our demand upon it. That everything that has ever been created has been created for our use. Having dominion over does not mean controlling and subjugating. Having dominion over just means having the right to help manage and steward everything and to accept all the gifts that life has to come and to accept it with a heart full of gratitude. Graciousness and gratitude. Those are our calling. And the more we give of each of those, the more we get. And it just spirals and spirals and spirals. And that is just, that's one example of our souls expanding infinitely into that never-ending life, that life principle from which we derive all benefit and which powers and drives and informs each of us. And it's when we open our hearts to this and we understand the concept and know that it's not just a bumper sticker, it's not just a soundbite, it's a wealth, it's an entire ocean of feeling and emotion and gratitude that comes welling up through us. That's when we experience the benefits of that positivity, of that affirmation, of that affirmative lifestyle. And it's just with grateful heart that I say, thank you, God, for this. Thank you for the opportunity to receive things to be grateful for. And I just release this word into that law of the universe, that law that knows only to say yes to my every demand. I say, thank you. It says yes, yes. Would you like more? And I just release this word into that law, knowing it is so and knowing that more is coming. I let it go, and together we say, so it is. Let's just know that this is our opportunity to share our abundance. We know that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are eternally grateful. And let me just take a second to say thank you for this support, because it is that sustains this Fullerton Center for Spiritual Living. And for those of you who are not in the sanctuary yet, but watching from afar, thank you also. We know that hitting that donate button or mailing in or coming by and seeing Tomoko during the week is a great thing to have happen. So thank you very much.
This next song was not written by Willie Nelson, but it pleases me to know that I kind of tuned in a little bit with what Reverend Bill was talking about today. I'll leave it at that. To the time in the season, family and friends gather near to offer a prayer of thanksgiving for blessings we've known through the year, to join hands and thank the Creator now when Thanksgiving is due. Here when I count my blessings, I'm thanking the Lord He made you. This year when I count my blessings, I'm thanking the Lord He made you. I'm grateful for the laughter of children, sun and the wind and the rain, a by-falling train will rise over a prairie. Oh, love that you made new. This year when I count my blessings, I'm thanking the Lord He made you. This year when I count my blessings, I'm thanking the Lord He made you. And when the time comes to be going, won't be in sorrow and tear. I'll kiss you goodbye and I'll go on my way, grateful for all of the years. I thank you for all that you gave me, for teaching me what love can do. Thanksgiving Day for the rest of my life, I'm thanking the Lord He made you. Thanksgiving Day for the rest of my life, I'm thanking the Lord He made you.
That's our Tommy Cosentino. Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. Holy cow. Let's just have everybody stand up. And let's know this together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called gratitude.
It's this thing called gratitude.
It's this thing called thanksgiving.
It's this thing called thanksgiving.
And thankful is what I am.
And thankful is what I am.
Thank you, God, in me.
Thank you,